In the previous video, we saw the item object class properties that were available in the documentation. In this video, we're going to take a look at the item object JSON properties that are accessed in the same way as the class properties where you use dot notation, but there's no documentation for these JSON properties. So open up the item object JSON properties.py script from the WebMap item folder. For this lesson, we are going to import the JSON module from the standard Python library. This will allow us to print out a dictionary in a more readable fashion. We're first going to access ArcGIS Online. We're going to use the content manager get method and supply in our WebMap item ID for our API Python WebMap. This will return an item object which will assign to a variable called item. We will then print that item to screen. If you can remember back to the first video in this section, we took a look at the item class in the documentation, and it said that the basis of this was a dictionary. I put up a screenshot there. This means that we can convert this item to a dictionary and access the JSON properties for this item object. So we'll convert our item to a dictionary, and we do this with the built-in function dict, which will cast our item object to a dictionary. We'll assign that to a variable called item properties, and we'll print item properties to screen. Copy in the item ID for our API Python WebMap from our training folder, and let's run the script. And we can see we have returned this mess of a dictionary that is quite difficult to read. We can see here that we printed out the item object itself. It is an item object. The title is our API Python WebMap. It is of type WebMap, and I am the owner, as you will be for yours. And we can see that we have successfully printed out the JSON properties for our item object. Let's comment out our first example and print that out in a much neater way. I'll comment out these two lines of code. Once more, we are going to cast our item object to a dictionary and assign that to a variable called item properties. We are then going to call the JSON module dumps method, supply in our item properties dictionary, and set the indent to equal 4. Now let's run the script. And if I start scrolling up, we can already see how easier this is to read than the mess of a dictionary we returned in the first example. We have the ID, which represents the item ID, the owner, created and modified, which are the dates in epoch. We have our keywords, our description, our tags, our summary. If I scroll down, we have others such as the number of comments, the number of ratings, the average rating. We can see here that it is not protected. And in the next video, we are going to see how we can update some of these properties. Some of them are system maintained, and some of them we can actually update. For now, we'll comment out our second example. And in our third example, we're going to access individual properties. You can access via dot notation or through the dictionary style syntax. So here we have item.owner, our item with the square brackets and the owner property as a string. And we'll do the same for our summary, which is a snippet, the tags, and if it's protected or not. We'll just run the script. And we can see that both styles worked for dot notation and for the dictionary style syntax with the square brackets. So although the documentation is limited with the class properties, there are a heap more properties that you can access and update and that are accessible via the JSON configuration. In this video, we took a look at the item object JSON properties. These are accessible when we convert the item object to a dictionary. We can also use dot notation or dictionary style syntax to access each property individually.